Welcome into the Stack Shack Sports Show. Today we're going to be talking about the breaking news that just dropped today. Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson, long rumored to be headed towards the Washington Commanders, is pulling out of the running for head coaching jobs. There's two big jobs left, right? We got the Seahawks head coach and we got the Commanders head coach. He informed both teams that he is not interested in pursuing. This is somebody who had had some interviews, we had reports guaranteeing him, basically saying as soon as the Lions are done with their playoff run, because you can't hire someone while they're still in a playoff run, till the season is over. As soon as that happens, we're hiring him. He's going to Washington. He's going to be the Commanders' next head coach. Commanders do have a good draft picks, a pretty rich owner. It doesn't look like the worst landing spot ever. It is kind of interesting. The Carolina job, which many believe is not as good a job as the Washington job, gets picked up first. And then Washington seemingly, if there were lots of reports, it sounds like Washington was expecting Ben Johnson to come there. He is no longer headed to the Commanders, leaves them in a bit of a bind. But first, I want to talk about why I think he did this. And, by the way, he's not the only offensive coordinator to do this. We just got word a few moments ago as well. Texans offensive coordinator, Bobby Slowick, who had been, in the running for some of these jobs. Even their quarterback's coach, right? With the growth of C.J. Stroud, getting him into the playoffs. This was impressive, right? We were all excited about C.J.'s immense leaps and bounds as a rookie, how good he looked, how good the Texans were. Offensive coordinator being a big part of that. They had some interviews. Quarterback's coach had some interviews. Staying in Houston. They're staying in Houston. Not taking on any other head coaching jobs, not other offensive coordinator jobs. They are comfortable and happy in Houston. So this is now two in the same day, fairly high-profile names that had been getting some buzz around the league, saying, you know what, we're going to stay put. We're not going to take this promotion. We're not going to switch teams. And why would they do that? Why, right? It's a promotion. You're going to a head coach. Well, I think this is, in my opinion, I'm surprised it doesn't happen more often. Let's look specifically at Ben Johnson, because he was the more higher profile one, the one that, he had lots of reports from various people around the league saying, yes, he's going to Washington. He says no. Well, why would he say no? All right, let's look at Washington versus Detroit. If you head to Washington, you are now going to a franchise that is not very good at the moment, right? You're drafting a quarterback, most likely. I think the Sam Howell hate is a little overblown, but it is true Washington is not as good as Detroit. You're going to have to rebuild it. You're probably taking one of the high draft picks. You're probably grabbing somebody like Drake May. Maybe you like a Penix. Maybe you like a Bo Nix. Maybe you like a Jaden Daniels. You're probably not getting Caleb, because Caleb Williams seems pretty much a lock that the Bears are not getting rid of that first pick, and they're going to take Caleb. That's the word around the league. Now, maybe they wouldn't, but the chances are you're not getting them. And we're sitting here going, do I really want that? And I'm surprised this doesn't happen more. If I was an offensive coordinator, it's not like you're broke, okay? What is Ben Johnson's contract? According to ProFootballNetwork.com, the average coordinator makes about 1.5, with the best guys getting 3 to 4, okay? Johnson is rumored to be in that 3 to 4. Maybe he's getting 5. We'll see. But we're talking about $3-4 million a year. Now, a head coach is going to make a lot more than that. We're talking the top head coaches are making, $30 million plus a year. right? And he would probably be getting one of those higher amounts just because he's resetting the market. He's a new hire, right, in a new contract. So yes, he would probably get paid an extra 26, 25, 23 million dollars a year. That is significant. Okay? That's a lot of money. But you have to realize there's diminishing returns on money like that. And especially to go to a worse situation than you're in, right? Your job's going to be harder, the pressure's going to be heavier, you're leaving behind what you've built and worked hard to build in Detroit for an extra 26 million when you are making $4 or $5 million a year. $4 or $5 million a year is plenty of money. I know if I was in this situation, I would stay as an offensive coordinator in Detroit. You mean I got a chance to win a Super Bowl? Like, if you really believed in this team, you really believe, I think this Detroit Lions team can win a Super Bowl. You're buddies with Dan Campbell. He's going to take all the heat from the media anyways. You don't have to take any of that heat. You just run your offense. You don't have to worry about the defense. You don't have to worry about the media crushing you for making decisions on fourth down. You don't have to make those calls. You get to work with the offense. An offense that is loaded with weapons. You have a very serviceable quarterback in Jared Goff. You have an absolute number one receiver in Amon-Ra St. Brown. And you really have two starting running backs with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. One of the best offensive lines in football. I mean, this is an offensive coach's dream. It really is. I mean, he has more weapons than Kansas City does. Now, he doesn't have Patrick Mahomes. We see how that ends up, right? But you're there. You're pretty much there. You got the pieces you need. You don't have to worry about, oh man, is this Drake May kid really going to be able to play? You don't have to worry about getting blasted in the media when Washington isn't performing well. And you got a chance to win a Super Bowl? I'm 100% in the, and you can look at history, the Tom Brady, take a little less money, win more rings. Sounds good to me. And it's not like I believe Ben Johnson won't have an opportunity at maybe a different head coaching job next year. But if you really believe you have something pretty special here in Detroit at the moment, why not stay? Why not go win a Super Bowl? Go win a Super Bowl and next year take a job. If you really believe you're that close, which I'm sure he does. They were a couple plays away, probably really one dropped pass away, or one slightly different decision on a field goal away from making it to a Super Bowl. So they are there. They've proved that they are good. I don't know why you wouldn't stay. I understand, it's a natural promotion. You go from a coordinator, defensive or offensive. You work into that position over the years. Then you move on to head coach. That is the progression. That is the promotion, right? So turning down a promotion seems a little weird. But there are situations that everybody turns down promotions. Hey, I don't want to take on that extra responsibility right now. He is young. He's not even in his 40s yet. He's got time. He's got time. And, you could push at it. And what I've seen online is people saying, oh, you gotta, when people are calling, you gotta go because who knows if next season, maybe the Lions aren't very good. And he gets blamed for some of it. And then he didn't have this opportunity to get the bag as a head coach. That's fair. But you're 37. You obviously love the culture. You love the program you're working with. Why not stay? And it goes the same to me for the Texans. I mean, this was a first-year head coach, a rookie quarterback, and they win a playoff game. What makes you think they're all of a sudden going to get way worse? This wasn't really a fluke, I don't feel like. Stroud's still on his rookie deal next year. right? You're still going to be able to keep all of your weapons because you're not in cap hell. Why not stay? Continue building the program. That's my philosophy. Why not? Why not stay? $4 million is plenty of money. Okay? Yes, 30 million is a lot more than that. Oh, absolutely. But let's be real at the end of the day. At the end of the day, how much does your life really change with an extra $26 million made in 1 year? Because that's what we're talking about. He's not saying, oh, I'm not leaving Detroit for the next 10 years. He's saying, this year, I'm not coming out. I'm staying in Detroit. Right? Texans offensive coordinator. I'm staying in Houston. Doesn't mean that next year they can't go get the bag. Give it one more shot. Run it back. I think that's what I would do if I was the Detroit Lions. If I was Ben Johnson, I'd say, you know what? Screw it. Let's run it back one more time. We're on a great trajectory here. Let's run it back. And after next season, maybe we don't quite get there, or there's a better job opening up. There is an argument to be made that there are going to be some really good head coaching jobs available next year. And you even see this with head coaches. Let's be real here. What did Sean Payton do? He retired, quote unquote, for a season, waited for a job to open up that he was interested in. He could have gotten a job that season, but he didn't like the jobs. He said, you know what? I'm going to go into broadcasting for a season, hang out, relax, regroup, take some time off. A little less stress, obviously, than being a head coach. Then he comes back when he feels like, you know what? The Denver job. I like the Denver job. I think he thought he could really do something with Russell. Obviously, that relationship completely deteriorated, but that happens, right? Let's say Ben Johnson waits. There could be some great jobs next year. Maybe he can wait. Washington gets Drake May. Maybe he underperforms, but Ben Johnson looks at him and goes, no, I could work with that. He could still go to Washington next year, potentially. Now, I'm not the fire the coach after 1 year guy. Don't do that. But there's other jobs. Dallas. I'm telling you right now, Mike McCarthy has one more one-and-done playoff appearance or misses the playoffs. I don't think he's in Dallas anymore, right? Nick Sirianni, first 6 games of the season, the Eagles are just not wanting to play for him. He's going to be done, right? Right? Those are 2 great franchises with decent quarterbacks. I would say the Eagles are probably in a better position than the Cowboys are, because I think Jalen Hurts is a little more explosive than Dak Prescott, but those are definitely better, proven quarterbacks. We've seen what Dak can do. We've seen what Jalen can do. I'm not saying that they are Patrick Mahomes. I'm not saying they are completely elite, the top 5 quarterbacks. But they're close. They're more known quantities than whoever you end up with in the draft is going to be. And there's a lot of jobs like that around the league. Personally, I thought the Seahawks job was pretty good, and I thought the Commanders job was decent. But I can absolutely understand it. You can't knock them for saying, you know, I'll take a little less money. I'll try and go win a Super Bowl. Continue building my brand. Continue building buzz. Get a little more practice under my belt. Fine-tune some things. And be able to maybe, reap some of the rewards of all the hard work I've put in here in Detroit. Or here in Houston. Again, it surprises me that this doesn't happen more often. But this does leave 2 jobs, right? We still got 2 jobs left. And it ain't going to be the Texans offensive coordinator, and it's not going to be Ben Johnson. Seahawks still looking like Mike Macdonald, right? He now is out of the playoffs, so they have the opportunities to get some interviews, to have some conversations about it. So, absolutely an opportunity for him to end up in Seattle still. That is where people had projected him to end up. But that leaves Washington. Washington was the place that everybody thought Ben Johnson was going. But he's obviously not. So who is Washington going to get? I do think this is an interesting opportunity for Bill Belichick. Personally, he would not be my hire. I'm out on Bill unless he is going to agree to not touch personnel, which, according to the interviews coming out of the Falcons, is not an option for him. He wants full control of personnel still. So he's not my option. It wouldn't be my first pick. I'd try and find somebody else. But he is an East Coast guy, right? Foxborough is where his family is, where he's set down roots, where he coached for 1 billion years. Staying on the same coast to Washington doesn't seem unreasonable. It does make a little bit of sense there. They do have some offensive weapons. Okay? I actually like Washington's receivers. Now, does Bill want to deal with a young quarterback? Again, he wouldn't be my pick. But Washington might get desperate to say, oh crap, we thought we had Ben Johnson. Let's make a splash and grab Bill Belichick. He wouldn't be my pick because I don't think he works with young quarterbacks real well. But if you find somebody that you like to take over the offense, to be the quarterback's coach, if you find a quarterback's coach you like, unfortunately, Texans one is not on the market, he said. But if you could find a quarterback's coach you like, I could live with a Bill Belichick hiring. It, again, wouldn't be my pick because we saw in New England last few years what he's done with a young quarterback. He doesn't develop offensive talent very well. But you can see things lining up. All right, who's left? Who's a big name? Who would people potentially be excited about? Who's already an East Coast guy? Well, it's Bill Belichick. A lot of fingers are starting to point in that direction. It was weird to think of a season where Bill Belichick is not on a sideline. Maybe give him a short deal, say, hey, we need you to prove to us that you can work with young offensive talent, young wide receivers, young quarterback. So we're not going to give you the 8-year contract, right? We're going to give you maybe a 2, maybe a 3-year deal. Say, all right, you got 3 years. Turn this puppy around. We got to see playoffs. We got to see big growth. I would do everything in my power to keep personnel away from him because I still think Bill is a great defensive coach. Absolutely fantastic. He just doesn't coach offense real well. He just doesn't draft very well. So if you can try and limit some of those things, get him a good offensive coordinator, take away some of his power in the draft, I think he could work in Washington. So that's my thoughts. Let me know down below. What is your thoughts? If you were an offensive coordinator, put yourselves in Ben Johnson's shoes. If you were Ben Johnson, would you have stayed in Detroit? I think I would have, personally. But I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm too loyal. Maybe I'm too excited about Detroit and them finally having success. Let me know in the comments down below what you would do and who do you think ends up in that Commander's job. Seahawks job still looks like McDonald from the Ravens, but Commander's job seems to kind of be wide open right now. Who do you think ends up in the Commanders as the head coach next year? And we'll see you tomorrow.